Okay, Chapter 1 recap of the 11 myths versus facts. We'll start with 11 and end with 1. So, myth number 11 about nuclear winter. Nuclear winter depends on the severity of smoke and soot put into atmosphere. The more smoke and soot, the more severe the nuclear winter. Prepare for the possibility of severe food shortages because nuclear winter means a change in climate that is significant enough to affect crops and getting food to people. Number 10, ozone destruction. Nukes are destructive to ozone, but not necessarily to the degree you can't survive. There may, however, be an increase in UV rays that result in subtle increases in skin cancers if you aren't cautious. This ozone destruction, also, I found out it's not a permanent thing because ozone is capable of repairing itself. Other sources suggest about a year for the ozone to repair itself to normal levels after the damage done from a nuclear war event. Number 9, overkill. It won't happen. The overkill hypothesis is based on miscalculations. The world won't kill itself off several times over. Eight, genetic damage. Us, our kids, our grandkids won't suffer from genetic malformations from a nuclear war, if ever exposed to any nuclear radiation from a nuclear weapon. However, some particular types of damage, will occur if exposed to high enough doses. 7, food and water. If fallout particles do not become mixed with food that's consumed, no harm is done. Food and water in dust-tight containers are not contaminated by fallout radiation. Water. Water from deep wells, covered reservoirs, tanks, and containers would not be contaminated. Even water containing dissolved radioactive elements and compounds can be made safe for drinking by filtering it through earth, as described later in this book. I want to add to that, when they say they give an example of skinning fruit, that all you have to do is remove the skin and it's okay to eat. Yeah, but you have to make sure before you skin it, you clean that off, because as you're skinning it, if there's still particles on it, you're just going to be moving the particles from the skin to the inner part that you're exposing. So if I were ever to have to do that, or decide I needed to do that because I had no other choice, I would wash it off first carefully without getting it on my hands, and then skin it carefully, because that knife that you're using to skin it can now become contaminated. So that's number 7. Number 6, cities. A nuclear attack is interested in specific targets, not necessarily body count. Many warheads won't necessarily be surface bursts, but air bursts as well. So not every warhead is going to be a surface burst. And a surface burst consists of 2 types of particles, the larger particles and the smaller, practically invisible, you can't see them, particles. So there's going to be a combination, and an airburst is not something that is going to eject larger particles, but smaller ones. So, a lot of times you can't see those particles, but what they're saying is it's going to remain in the atmosphere long enough where it's going to decay before it comes down. 5, modern bombs. They're bigger today, yeah, but something 1,000 times as powerful as Nagasaki or Hiroshima isn't necessarily 1,000 times as destructive. 4, blast doors. Everyone in the worst parts of Hiroshima were not killed. Many inside bomb shelters survived even without blast doors. However, that does not mean to consider including blast doors if you're going to build a shelter. Blast doors are very effective. 3, firestorms. On a clear day, thermal pulses from an airburst can set fire to easily ignitable materials. It can cause second-degree burns to exposed people up to 10 miles away from a 1 megaton explosion. If clear and dry, the area of fire damage could be larger, as opposed to a cloudy, smoggy day. Two, shelter. Remember, a concrete wall that is 1 foot in thickness will absorb most radiation, as well as an earth-packed wall that is 1.5 feet in thickness. So, say you're going to go into a basement, right? You have to keep in mind what's over top of you. Is there enough protection over top of you? Because already you have the sides, back, the front that are protecting you. It's what's above. You can be creative there. There are different ways. I'm sure the book's going to go over it later. Different ways of improvising, where you can protect yourself from above as well. And then number one, fallout radiation, surface versus airburst. We know the difference. Surface ejects large and small, and an airburst is mostly small particles. So it's good to know the difference between the two. As for the fallout radiation, it takes 2 days to go from 1,000 R to 10 R, and takes 2 weeks to go from 1,000 to 1 R. Okay. Keep in mind the hot spots from rain and snow. The small particles, you can't see small particles, so you should consider a mask to filter out those small particles. And if you're going to decontaminate yourself, you have to because you've been exposed, you have to decontaminate everything, from your clothes to your hair to your body hair, under your fingernails. If you have cuts and scrapes, you don't want that stuff getting inside of you. And so that's it. Next, we're going on to chapter 2. As I said, I have that split into 3 different. I have that split into 2 sections. We're going to go over 3 topics per section. Depending on how things go today, I might put chapter 2 up because I was supposed to do this yesterday. And then just finish it off. Otherwise, just before the end of the week, it'll be done. Okay, so that's it for chapter 1, and chapter 2's coming up. See you in the next episode. Have a good one.